Hey, what's going on, guys? At UFC 296, in the main event, Leon Edwards dominated Colby Covington to retain his welterweight title. And while the fight itself was embarrassing and, just an absolute horrific performance by Colby Covington, he actually one-upped himself because he went to the post-fight presser and he said some downright delusional, embarrassing things. And I want to take a look at his post-fight presser and some of the things he said, because the things he said were just downright embarrassing. The call-outs that he had was downright embarrassing. The excuses that he kind of put out there but then kind of took back was just completely delusional. And the way he talked about certain fighters on the card was just craziness. So I want to break it down. I want to go through the post-fight presser for Colby Covington and just kind of break it down. We're going to start off right away at the very beginning of the post-fight presser.
Colby, obviously, I'm sure you're disappointed to not be sitting up there with a title belt, but after a little while now, how do you rate your own performance and what was your feelings on the fight?
Yeah, I would rate my performance a 5 out of 10.
Well, that's being a little bit generous, but we're splitting hairs. At 5 out of 10, I'd give it a 1 out of 10.
I could sit here all day and make excuses. I could have zigged when I should have zagged. I could have, it was a timing thing because I was off. But that's not the cloth. That's not the cloth that I was cut from.
So he makes the excuses, but then he says, well, that's not the cloth that I'm cut from. Well, you just made 2 excuses right there and then try to take them back.
I'm not going to make excuses. There's a reason the front window is bigger than the rear view. So, it's in the past now. I'm not going to worry about the past. I'm going to focus on what's next, There's a guy that's been talking a lot of shit to me in the media, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
When has Stephen Wonderboy Thompson ever talked any shit? And there's a follow-up question from the MMA media, which you could tell they were baffled as well. When somebody let me know when Stephen Wonderboy Thompson ever talked shit.
Everybody thinks he's a nice guy. He's had a lot to say about me, so I'd love to see him say that to me in the cage, in the octagon.
What exactly has he been saying about you?
See, the MMA media doesn't even know. Like, what has he been saying about you? Colby Covington at the press conference was literally calling Wonderboy a pedo, and Wonderboy did not even say anything back to him. Wonderboy is literally known as one of the nicest fighters in the UFC. He really doesn't talk crap. And already what this is, and he does this a couple times throughout the presser, Colby has been backed into a corner now. His career is over. He has nowhere to go. So he's looking around at the top 15 and he's like, well, wait a second. Where are the 40-year-olds who are over the hill, who are washed up that I can beat? Oh, Wonderboy. That's what he's doing here. Colby Covington has made his career at beating old, washed-up fighters on losing streaks. And Wonderboy is one of the only fighters in the top 15 that checks that box, who literally got dominated on this very card. So he calls out Wonderboy and says Wonderboy's talking shit. But let's see his response.
Oh, he was just saying some stuff before the fight. Oh, he's going to get his jaw broke. Oh, this and that. He's always talking shit, throwing shade. So I'd love to see him say it to my face. He's always got things to say to you guys in the media. But I've never seen him come up to me face to face. We were backstage at the press conference. He kept his head down the whole time. So he always has things to say. I'm a man of my word. I say things to people when I look them right in the eye and I say, let's do it. Let's go in the octagon. So, I'd love to see him, sometime next year. And, we've been at the top of the division for the longest. We're 2 guys that have never fought, that have been at the top of the division for years. So, I think that's the fight that makes the most logical sense now.
So there he is. He desperately wants that Wonderboy Thompson fight. Right off the jump, I'm looking at the future. I want Wonderboy Thompson. We're 2 names at the top of the division. Really what Colby is saying here, I really desperately want a 40-year-old who's on a decline and on a losing streak, who doesn't really have grappling at all, because I'm 36 years old. I'm 2 and 3 in my last 5 fights. I only have wins over Jorge Masvidal and Tyron Woodley, both who are no longer even in the UFC. And I have no wins over the current top 15. So who's the easiest matchup? Well, that's Wonderboy. So it's just, this is one of the most embarrassing call-outs I've ever seen in UFC history. I mean, I didn't even think Colby was that dumb to go out there and say, yeah, let me have Wonderboy Thompson's dead body. What an embarrassment. But this press conference just gets worse and worse. He is downright delusional. We're going to talk about the fact, I know people are going to say, he's a character, this and that. But let's listen to more of what he says. There's some more excuses about his fight in the main event.
Of course, I want to be an active fighter. I want to be a company man. I want to be a guy that, comes out here and puts on performances and shows for the UFC and makes them money.
When is he putting on performances? He's been out for 2 years. His last few fights have literally been horrible, have not been exciting at all. And also, I know people like to pretend like Colby's a draw. When he fought Jorge Masvidal as a main event, Masvidal's a bigger draw than Colby. They sold under 400,000 pay-per-view buys. That is a fact. That is a fact. But let's listen to some more of the excuses.
As regularly as possible. You know, I don't want to be getting sucker punched in the street and take more damage in the streets than I ever took in the octagon. So, you know, I need to get my timing back, and I will. You know, I'll go back to work. I know what I need to work on, you know, and, you know, I held back a lot in that fight. So I don't even feel like I was in a fight. You know, it feels like I just was in fucking a practice round. So, you know, I'm a lot better than that. And you know, I'm still 35 years young, and my best is yet to come.
So there he is. Oh, I took too much damage when I got sucker punched in the street. Dude claimed brain damage. He ended up settling out of court from what I understand. And, you know, just more excuses. Oh, I held back in that fight, but I don't even feel like I was in a fight. Well, that's probably because you did not fight at all. You literally stood at range while Leon Edwards just picked your legs apart, picked your body apart, beat you up, took you down, out-grappled you. That's probably why you don't feel like you were in a fight, because you didn't actually do anything. This guy is known for his cardio and didn't even try. I mean, literally, he needs to be stripped of the Chaos nickname. Literally, he needs to be stripped of it. He doesn't call us Chaos in the Cage at all. But let's carry on, because it gets more delusional. I mean, what he said so far has just been kind of excuses and calling out Wonderboy. But in this next clip, I literally couldn't believe the words out of his mouth.
No, it didn't surprise me at all. You know, I thought I had rounds 3, 4, and 5. Started out a little slow in the first 2 rounds, you know, but those rounds still felt like toss-up rounds. But, you know, he's the champion, so I know I had to go out there and take it from him. But, you know, I'm very grateful for bringing out Donald Trump tonight, the most famous person on the planet. You know, he's done so much for my career.
So this guy just said he thought he won 3, 4, and 5. That is completely delusional. And I know people can say, oh, this is part of his character, blah, blah, blah. This is all he says. And he's actually asked about his character later in this that we'll take a look at. But to sit up there and say you think you won 3, 4, and 5 in the first 2 rounds were toss-up rounds, that is completely disconnected from reality. He clearly lost. The only round he won was round 5. And I think you could make a case that Leon won that round because Colby did almost no damage. And then he goes on into like a 1.5-minute diatribe about how much he loves Trump and, you know, all this different political stuff. And it's like, dude, you lost the fight, you got dominated, and all you can do is just cling on to relevance by being a Monica Lewinsky for Donald Trump. What a complete and utter embarrassment. Like, if you're going to talk all this crap, at least go out there and fight. And if you're going to talk all this crap and you go out there and lose, at least accept the loss and say, look, he was the better man tonight. Chael Sonnen was the king of talking shit nonstop and taking it a little bit too far. He didn't take it like Colby did, but taking it too far. And then afterwards, when he would lose, he would say, I don't have any excuses. The better man won tonight. Chael was literally known for being a gracious loser. Colby, all he does is make excuses every fight. He should have won, or Mark Goddard screwed him, or he got kicked in the nuts, or it was an early stoppage, or there was back of the head shots. I mean, completely delusional. There's no way, shape, or form that he won this fight. But now in this next clip, he's asked if he regrets talking about Leon Edwards' father. And I want to play this clip because this guy is an utter piece of shit and he's a disgrace. And I want to break this down because the MMA media didn't even push back on this.
Oh, why would I have sympathy for a sex trafficker, someone who's impacted and hurt a lot of people's lives? You know, the truth always stings the worst in the world. So, you know, no, I don't feel bad about that at all. Let's talk about all the victims that he left behind that are surviving of the trauma and the turmoil that he put these people's lives through. So I don't feel bad at all. Why would I feel bad for a criminal?
How does that make any sense? Even if all that is true, which I'm not even sure that it is. I know Leon Edwards' father was involved in gangs, but I don't know to what extent he broke the law or contributed to any of these different things that Colby Covington is contributing to Leon Edwards' father. What does that have to do with Leon Edwards? Since when are sons held to be responsible for what their fathers have done? Makes no sense. Leon Edwards is not the one that so-called committed these crimes that you were talking about. So that's why you should regret it. Why are you picking on somebody for something their father did who is now murdered and dead? Makes absolutely no sense. And people excuse this stuff away as, oh, Colby's just a character. He's just a character. No. What he is he is a piece of shit that uses shock value to garner attention because nobody cares about him otherwise. Nobody cares about his cringy, horrible trash talk where he stumbles over his words. Nobody cares about his wrestling heavy, volume heavy style. Nobody cares. So he's got to go for shock value because people are like, oh shit, nobody else would say that ever. Dude's attacking someone's father who was murdered. Disgusting, despicable. And honestly, it'd be a real shame if somebody caught him out coming outside of a steakhouse and sucker punched him. Be a real shame. But let's go on. Let's move on because he goes on to talk more about Wonderboy Thompson. And I mean, this is just completely embarrassing.
I don't make those decisions. Those are way above my pay grade. That's up to Hunter Campbell, Dana White, Ari Emanuel.
I actually skipped over it a little bit. A media member asked him, do you think you and Wonderboy could headline a pay-per-view? What a dumb question by that media member. I mean, seriously. Could Colby and Wonderboy headline a pay-per-view? Who's ordering that pay-per-view? That's going to do less than Aljamain Sterling does. That would be a disgrace, but this is Colby's response to that question.
Whatever they see fit is best for the business. You know, I'm a company man. I want to do the biggest and best business in this company, but I do feel like that's a premier matchup in the welterweight division.
Premier matchup. Wonderboy, who can't wrestle to save his life, who's 41 years old, against a damn near 36-year-old Colby Covington who hasn't had a good performance in, how many years? Colby is the Uncle Rico of the welterweight division. All he does is talk about fights from 2018. Doesn't have a good win. Who wants to see that? Just disgusting, despicable, and embarrassing. That's a premier matchup? No.
We've been at the top of the division for years, and we've never crossed paths, and he's had a lot of things to say about me. Oh, Colby this, oh, Colby that. So, I'd like to see him say those things to my face in that UFC octagon.
This is just Colby's desperation for a winnable matchup. That's all it is. Wonderboy Thompson hasn't said anything about him. He's a flat-out liar. You think Colby would say this about Khamzat Chimaev if he was still in the division? You think Colby's going to call out an Ian Machado Gary? You think Colby's going to call out a Jack Della Maddalena or a Gilbert Burns? No. He's like, oh, Wonderboy's 40, he's over 40? Oh, he can't wrestle? Oh, he's been dominating his last few fights. He's on a losing streak. Let me have him. That's essentially what he's saying here. Just a disgrace. I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse. And then he has the audacity to talk about Strickland like he would beat up Strickland after that performance.
Between you two.
Of course. He's been running his mouth and, nothing he said makes sense. Oh, Colby goes to the cops. Bro, you called the cops just a couple weeks ago, dude, when there was someone at your front door. And then you pistol whipped him in the middle of the street. So I think he needs to worry about what he's got to get through with the justice system first before he even talks about fighting. That guy's a train wreck, dude. That guy's for sure going to do something stupid in the next couple of years, and we're all going to be talking in the media about this and that, about how bad decisions he makes. So, of course, I'd love to shut his mouth. There's a reason he couldn't cut it at 170. This is the toughest division in the UFC. Everybody knows that. Most people on planet Earth walk around this weight. So, if Sean wants to go, let's do it. That's an easy fight for me.
That's an easy fight for him. Sean Strickland would take his lunch money. And this dude's talking about Sean Strickland called the cops when someone showed up to his house. Sean Strickland went out and confronted that person with a gun. And, okay, Colby's right. Sean Strickland's probably going to do some dumb stuff over the course of the next few years that we'll probably hear about because Sean is completely unhinged. But to act like you're better than Sean Strickland, meanwhile he's a middleweight champion, and to act like Sean Strickland saying you calling the cops wasn't a bitch move and that, oh, he calls the cops too. Like, think about it. That's not the sick burn you thought it was, Colby. And he stumbled over his words halfway through that as well because he's like, oh, he called the cops at someone in his driveway. So talk about call the cops. Like, oh, yeah. Like, what a sick burn. He calls the cops too. Just completely weird. And he goes on more to say, that he won the fight. Let's take a listen to it. It gets worse and worse. And wait till you hear one of the questions one of these MMA media members ask him in a little bit. Completely disgusting and despicable of the MMA media and disturbing. But let's listen to him make more excuses. Somebody asked him if they thought he won. If he thought he won.
I did. I thought the third, fourth, and fifth round were mine. The fifth was mine easily. The fourth I thought was mine as well too. And I thought I did enough in the third. He didn't put any damage on me. He got a couple low kicks, but then I started checking him at the end. So. I thought I had the win. I thought I did enough, but, the judges have never favored me. They hate me because I support Trump, and, everybody hates Trump in this building, so, it is what it is. Life goes on.
He thinks he won 3, 4, and 5. I wish I could laugh right now like Dreekus, but I can't because my throat is literally done from talking too much over the past couple days. he thought I did enough in the third and I did enough in the fourth. He barely got the fifth. He clearly lost 1 through 4. 4 isn't even debatable, okay? And he's saying the judges scored it against him because he likes Trump. Get off Trump's dick, dude. Trump left while you were talking in your post-fight speech. He doesn't like you. He does not like you. This guy is a weirdo hitching his entire wagon to a political figure. Being a sycophant for a political figure is his entire personality. That is it. Because that's the only way he can get any fans, because nobody truly actually likes him. And just to say that you thought you won 3, 4, and 5, it's just a complete disgrace. And then now we get to this question from an MMA media member, which I just could not believe they asked this. And I mean, this was some of the most horrific media questioning I've ever heard, because you had Colby kind of, in between here, and I'll link the full post-fight down below. And this is the first post-fight interview of Colby's I've ever watched because he's so insufferable. But somebody asked him about Donald Trump after he kind of, talks about him multiple times throughout this interview. And this was the stupidest question I've ever heard.
Colby over here. What was that game plan Donald Trump had formulated for you?
Yeah, he said, let's get on him. Let's get on him early. Let's put that cardio on him. You can take this guy down at will, and it just took me a little bit to get going, My timing was not there early on, but, Leon was switching a lot to orthodox. I didn't expect that as much as he was in orthodox, so I kind of switched up my game plan. So I was preparing to take him down on that right leg, and he kept putting the left leg in the lead, and I was kind of confused. So, it was more just the timing issue, and, I still thought I did enough, but... God bless Donald Trump for fucking everything he's done for this country.
All right. This guy is completely delusional. Again, sycophantically praising a political leader in hopes to attract his fans. This is crazy, and what a horrible question. What game plan did Donald Trump have for you? Go out there and get on him and get the takedown. Well, looks like you didn't listen to him. You suck him off enough in the media, but you didn't listen to him one bit. You didn't shoot a takedown in the first 2 rounds. Actually, I think you shot 1, but it was a horrific attempt because you're literally a bum. So, I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, I can't believe somebody asked that. What was the game plan Trump gave you? Like Trump gave him any type of game plan. And it gets even worse, and it gets more embarrassing because he's asked about Shavkat Rakhmonov and about a potential fight with Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's arguably close to a title shot. So Colby just lost a title shot. You would think he wants to get back in title contention. If he beats Shavkat, Colby would absorb a lot of hype. Let's see how he responds to this.
Next.
It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, of course it doesn't make sense. Colby didn't say anything about Shavkat at the presser because he doesn't want that fight. Colby's been ducking fights for years. He doesn't want nothing to do with Shavkat. But listen to what he has to say.
I think, Wonderboy has a bigger name. It's a bigger fight for the division, bigger business for the UFC. I'm the company, man. Whatever the UFC wants. I fought the pound for pound #1 guy. That's the pound for pound #4 guy in the world. That's him, and I feel like I wasn't even in a fight with him. So, it just shows how good I am and what I'm capable of. So anybody the UFC wants to do, but I'm looking towards Wonderboy. He said some things, and I have my bad taste in my mouth about him right now. So I want to settle that beef in the octagon.
First off, that bad taste, Colby, is Donald Trump's taint because that's all you put in your mouth. I can't believe it. The Wonderboy Thompson's a big fight. Let me know down in the comments, what fight would you rather see? Colby Covington versus Wonderboy or Colby Covington versus Shavkat Rakhmonov? This is clearly Colby ducking Shavkat because guess what? Shavkat would take that fight in a heartbeat. He would take it in a heartbeat, and it would be easy work for Shavkat. So Colby keeps portraying the narrative that Wonderboy's talking about him, even though Wonderboy's never said a single word about him. Just a complete disgrace, and it gets even funnier because then, and we're going to take a look at it in a second, he offers up this title shot to Shavkat Rakhmonov. He says, yeah, Shavkat deserves a title shot. So why wouldn't you want to fight him? It's completely hypocritical. But that'll be in a second. The next clip we're going to look at, he was asked if Leon Edwards impressed him at all.
No, nothing impressed me. I mean, honestly, I don't feel like I got in a fight.
Well, that's because you didn't fight. You didn't fight. But those ice packs on your knees when you were walking out of the, around backstage looks like you got in a fight. That blood trickling down your nose looked like you got into a fight.
What did he do that separated himself from me? How did he show that he was like this level above me? He didn't show that tonight. He didn't knock me out. He didn't wobble me. He didn't fucking win every round decisively.
He won 4 out of 5 decisively, Colby.
It was a competitive fight. Could have went either way,
Could not have went either way. And it wasn't all that competitive. It wasn't all that competitive at all.
It depends on what judges are sitting in the booth that night. You know
What a completely delusional idiot.
how the judges are, so no, nothing impressed me. And the guy's boring, man. He's mumbling and drooling most of the time when he's talking. Like, the guy's not likable. He has no redeeming qualities. So, you know, I feel bad that the UFC has to deal with him, you know, in business and as their champion. You know, it's a pathetic excuse of a champion.
Did he not just describe himself mumbling and boring? When has Colby ever had exciting fights outside of the Kamaru Usman fight? I'll wait. When's the last time Colby's had a legitimate finish? A legitimate finish. My voice is cracking because my voice is completely destroyed from over the last 24 hours of doing content and live streams. But when's the last time he's had an exciting fight? He literally just described himself, and he has no redeeming qualities. The dude's a piece of shit just in an attempt to sell a couple pay-per-views, and he's not even doing that. So you're putting down the guy that just clearly beat you. It just makes no sense. And next, he's finally asked about his character. And here's a response. And this is for all the Colby fanboys who are probably abandoning ship now, who defend Colby in the way he acts and the way he talks by saying, oh, it's just a character.
It's done an incredible job for me. You know, I got some great people in my corner. They're going to lift me back up and make sure that I come back from this stronger. And, you know, this is just a lesson learned, another lesson in life, man. That's what life's all about, learning lessons and coming back better from them.
Thank you.
Colby here. You didn't try to take Leon down until round 3. Was that...
I messed that one up right there. That's not even it. I had the wrong timestamp. It's right here.
No, not at all. There is no...
So right here is where he's asked about being a character.
Colby, the character, is that even a thing in your eyes?
No, not at all. There is no character. I'm a guy that just turns it up to 11. I don't care what people think of me, man. You can hate me, you can love me, you can be indifferent. It makes no difference. You know, I'm here to do the biggest and best business for this company. I love this company. You know, I just signed a new contract with him, so I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm going to be around for many years to come. So, you know, the best is yet to come for me. I truly believe that, and I'm going to create a lot more special moments in this company, and I'm going to keep making history. That's what I've done since the beginning, and, you know, my legacy is not set yet.
When has he ever created a special moment ever in UFC history? I can't think of one. Dude's almost 36. He might have signed a new contract. Even if he fights until he's 45, at the rate he's fighting at, that's probably 2 fights. So he's never fighting for a title again. And this is a guy that I think is just deeply disturbed internally and doesn't know what to do here. And he's like, this is not a character. I just turned it up to 11. It's just, he's been in character for so long that it's become part of him, because at the end of the day, it's just an exaggerated portion of himself. That's all it is. The dude's a piece of shit who will do anything to make a buck. Next thing you know, he's going to be taking Conor McGregor into a public restroom. That's how badly Colby just wants to make some money. Never set any records. Never, had any historic moments. His career is completely forgettable. All he's known for is losing to Kamaru Usman. That will be his legacy unless something happens over the next few years. This last clip, I threw this in here because I thought it was just deeply hypocritical of Colby. After basically turning down the Shavkat Rakhmonov fight in this interview and then saying he wants the Wonderboy fight, he then goes on to say this about Leon Edwards and Shavkat.
Probably shit rat, just because we saw the first fight with Bailey, the racist, and who wants to put a racist in a main event pay-per-view title fight? I mean, they already made that fight before and nobody watched it. And that was during COVID when nobody had anything else to do. So how are you going to sell that as a pay-per-view? That's not a pay-per-view worthy main event. Put shit right up there. Let's see if he's as good as all the hype says, and let's see how that goes. I think that's a fight for the fans, and I think that's the direction the UFC should go.
So let me break that down for you. Colby is hoping that Shavkat can beat Leon Edwards because he's like, oh, maybe if we get a fresh champion, I can get another title shot. But that's pretty much the entire interview. Colby's completely delusional. And he's saying the fans want to see Shavkat fight for a belt, but he doesn't want to fight Shavkat. He wants to fight Wonderboy. I mean, could this get any more embarrassing? This guy had the worst week I could ever imagine. This was the week from the 7th layer of hair for Colby Covington. He loses decisively. He doesn't even try to fight. Pretends he wins a fight that he clearly lost. And then goes into the post-fight press conference and calls out Wonderboy Thompson. cut Colby Covington from the roster. He's a delusional embarrassment. He doesn't even sell pay-per-views. He's not a star or a draw. He's a very low-level draw. People have kind of perverted the term draw. Yeah, okay, is he more promotable than the average UFC fighter? Sure. But he's not selling a whole lot of pay-per-views. He's selling a little bit more above average. That's it. And he goes to the post-fight presser, doesn't take any responsibility for his actions, shits on another man who just destroyed him, just shits on his father who was brutally murdered years ago, and doesn't take responsibility for his performance at all. Meanwhile, all while just deep-throating a political figure. Get this guy out of the UFC. All he's going to do is try to duck fights and try to get another undeserved title shot with his mouth over the next 2-3 years. But honestly, I think he's one brutal KO away from, ending up being cut from the organization because nobody cares. Nobody cares. Even the Colby fans are going to start to abandon him. When you talk all this crap and then you go out there and you don't fight, people are going to say, you know what, this guy doesn't back up what he says. I don't respect this. He's selling me wolf tickets. He's scamming me out of my pay-per-view dollars, and I don't want to see this anymore. So I really wanted to pick apart this post-fight interview because I thought it was so particularly delusional and egregious. And the guy comes right out and says, oh, I'm not playing a character. This is just an exaggerated version of myself. Well, this is what you get from Colby Covington, and he's not a good fighter. He's completely washed up. I don't think he's ever as good as people made him out to be. I don't even think he's as good as I thought he was. And now he's completely washed up because he's been sitting in witness protection for 2 years. And he comes back to an undeserved title shot. And now he's ducking Shavkat, basically, preemptively ducking Shavkat, so that he could try to fight Wonderboy Thompson, who is probably the only matchup in the top 15 that Colby Covington would have a chance at defeating. So let me know what you guys think of down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.